It started with a text. I was wiping down the kitchen counter after dinner, Lucas's favorite, grilled salmon with lemon herb sauce, when his phone buzzed on the island. He was in the shower, humming some tune I didn't recognize, so I glanced at the screen out of habit. "Don't forget Mia's surprise tomorrow," it read, from an unsaved number. No context, no explanation, just those 5 words glowing in the dim light. My stomach twisted, but I told myself it was nothing. Lucas was a tech genius, always juggling a dozen projects. Mia could be a client, a colleague, anyone. Then came the bank alert on my phone, a $15,000 withdrawal from our joint account. I hadn't touched it. Had he? That's when the first crack appeared in the life I'd built over 20 years. I stood there, sponge dripping in my hand, staring at the notification as the water ran cold in the sink. Something wasn't right. I could feel it, like the air before a storm, heavy and electric. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, I encourage you to hit that subscribe button and tap the bell to stay updated with all our latest stories. Your support means the world. If you're finding value in this video, please give it a thumbs up. My other viewers and I would love to know where you're tuning in from. Drop your city in the comments below. Now, let's dive into the story. My name's Chloe Harper. I met Lucas Bennett when I was 23, a graphic designer fresh out of college, hired to brand his fledgling startup in Seattle. He was 29, all sharp edges and big dreams, with hazel eyes that seemed to see right through me. "You've got talent," he said that first day, leaning over my sketchbook with a grin. "Stick with me, and we'll build something huge." Within months, we were dating. Within a year, I'd traded my freelance gigs to join him full-time at Bennett Innovations. I designed the logo that's now plastered across tech blogs worldwide, a sleek B with a jagged line through it, symbolizing breakthroughs. Back then, I thought it symbolized us. We married at 25 in a little waterfront chapel with Puget Sound sparkling behind us. I wore a simple lace dress. He wore a suit that didn't quite fit his broad shoulders. We laughed about it, promising each other the world. I believed him when he said we'd get there together. For years, I poured everything into his vision. Late nights tweaking pitches, weekends mocking up prototypes. When he said we needed cash to scale, I sold my beat-up Toyota and handed him $18,000, every penny I'd saved since my first summer job. "It's ours now," I told him, kissing his cheek as he signed the lease for our first real office. Our future. Bennett Innovations took off in 2008. By our 10th anniversary, we'd moved from a cramped downtown loft to a glass-walled house in Madison Park, overlooking Lake Washington. Lucas surprised me with a sapphire necklace that birthday, draping it around my neck as we watched the sunset. "For sticking with me," he murmured. I smiled, ignoring how his late nights had stretched into weeks, how his conferences in Portland or San Francisco left me alone with takeout and Netflix. I trusted him. That was my mistake. Back to that night, the text, the withdrawal. I set the sponge down and scrolled through my phone, double-checking the alert. The timestamp matched his shower, 7:42 p.m. No call, no heads up. Just $15,000 gone. I could have asked him then, waited for him to step out, towel around his waist and explain it away with that easy charm he'd perfected. But something stopped me. Maybe it was the way Mia sounded too personal, too soft for a business contact. Maybe it was the key I found an hour later, when I hung his jacket in the closet. I'd been folding laundry, mind still churning, when my fingers brushed something hard in the lining of his raincoat, a pocket he never used. I tugged it open, and there it was. A small silver key, no label, no tag. It glinted under the bedroom lamp, cold against my palm. Lucas always teased me for overthinking. "You're like a detective in a bad movie," he'd laugh. Maybe he was right, or maybe I'd been blind for too long. I slipped the key into my jeans and waited for him to sleep. Whatever it unlocked, I'd find out, alone. Lucas was still asleep when I crept downstairs that night, the silver key burning a hole in my pocket. His office was off limits, his sanctuary, he called it, But I'd always respected that boundary. Not anymore. The house was silent except for the hum of the fridge as I slipped into his domain, a sleek room of glass and steel overlooking the lake. His desk was a mess of papers and gadgets, but I knew where to look. The safe under the bookshelf. He'd installed it years ago, saying it was for contracts, patents, sensitive stuff. I'd never questioned it. The key fit perfectly. The lock clicked, and the door swung open. Inside were stacks of files, a thumb drive, and a thin envelope. My hand shook as I pulled it out. Lease papers for an apartment in Tacoma, signed by Lucas Bennett, dated 3 years back. A photo slipped free. A woman with auburn hair and sharp cheekbones, laughing with a little boy on a playground. He was maybe 5, with Lucas's hazel eyes and that crooked grin I'd kissed 1,000 times. My breath caught. I flipped the picture over. Mia and Grayson, summer 24, scrawled in Lucas's handwriting. Mia, Grayson. My world tilted. I sank into his chair, staring at the evidence. All those late nights at the office, the conferences he couldn't reschedule, the way he'd dodge my questions with a smile and a, "Don't worry, babe." I'd chalked it up to ambition, to the grind of running a tech empire. But this wasn't a fling. This was a life, a family, he'd built behind my back. I pressed my palms to my eyes, fighting the urge to scream, to march upstairs and shake him awake. Instead, I took a breath. If he could play this game, so could I. The next morning, Lucas shuffled into the kitchen, hair tousled, oblivious. "Morning, gorgeous," he said, pecking my cheek as I handed him his coffee. Black, 2 sugars, just how he liked it. I smiled, tight-lipped, and asked about his day. "Meetings, the usual," he muttered, scrolling his phone. I nodded, sipping my own mug while my mind raced. Tacoma was an hour away. Had he been driving there after work? Weekends he claimed he was crunching numbers? I needed more than a photo and a lease. I needed proof. That afternoon, while he was at the office, I went back to the safe. The thumb drive was encrypted, but the files weren't. One folder caught my eye. Horizon Ventures. I opened it. Bank statements, wire transfers, receipts. Thousands funneled monthly to an account in Mia's name. A daycare payment here, a grocery bill there. My chest tightened as I pieced it together. He wasn't just cheating. He was funding them with our money. Money I'd helped earn. I remembered the nights I'd stayed up designing pitch decks, the Toyota I'd sold, the dreams I'd shelved. For this. I grabbed my phone and snapped pictures of everything, lease, photo, statements, before locking the safe and sliding the key back into his jacket. Lucas came home that night, tossing his keys on the counter. "Rough day," he sighed, loosening his tie. "You okay?" I asked, stirring pasta on the stove, my voice steady as glass. "Yeah, just tired," he said, brushing past me. I watched him slump onto the couch, oblivious to the storm brewing in my head. He thought I was the same Chloe, trusting, loyal, blind. But I wasn't. That night, as he snored beside me, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. The boy's grin haunted me. Lucas's grin, on a stranger's face. I could confront him, demand answers, watch him lie through his teeth. But what then? He'd talk his way out like always, and I'd be left with nothing but tears. No, I'd dig deeper, quieter, until I knew every secret he'd buried. Then I'd decide what to do with the wreckage. The key was just the start. Somewhere out there was a bigger lock, and I'd find it, even if it broke me. The next day, I waited until Lucas left for the office, his briefcase swinging as he waved goodbye. "See you tonight," he called, and I forced a smile, waving back from the porch. The second his car disappeared around the bend, I grabbed his laptop from the coffee table. He'd left it behind, careless, arrogant, or maybe just too comfortable in the lie. I knew his password, our wedding date June 12th, followed by my initials. Ironic, wasn't it? The screen blinked to life and I dove in, heart pounding like a drum. His inbox was a goldmine. I typed Mia into the search bar, and there she was. Mia Larson, Hundreds of emails stretching back 6 years. I clicked the oldest one, dated March 2019. "Great meeting you today," Lucas wrote. "Let's grab coffee soon, off the clock." She'd been an intern at Bennett Innovations, barely 22, fresh-faced and ambitious. I remembered her vaguely, quiet, always lingering near his desk. By summer, the tone shifted. "You're incredible," he wrote. "Can't wait to see you again." My stomach churned, but I kept scrolling, piecing together their timeline. They'd gone from flirty to serious fast. By 2020, she was pregnant. An email from Lucas. "Grayson's ours, Mia. I'll take care of everything." Grayson Bennett Larson, born January 2021, 5 years old now. I found photos attached to later messages. Grayson's first steps, his 3rd birthday, a Christmas card with the 3 of them by a tree. Lucas beaming, Mia glowing, their son clutching a toy robot I'd seen in our garage once, unopened. He'd bought it for his other family. I sat back, hands trembling, the laptop warm against my thighs. 6 years, a son, a life. I thought of our early days, how I'd sold my car to fund his startup, how I'd mocked up logos on napkins at 3 a.m. while he pitched to investors. We'd dreamed of kids, a house full of noise, but he'd always said, "Later, Chloe, when the company's stable." Stable came and went, and I stayed quiet, trusting his excuses. Now I saw the truth. He'd given that future to her. I clicked another email, dated last month. "Grayson's school fees are due. Send more soon," Mia wrote. "Taken care of, love," Lucas replied. Love. He hadn't called me that in years. Digging deeper, I found Horizon Ventures again, his shell company. Bank records showed monthly transfers, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. A down payment for that Tacoma apartment, tuition for Grayson's preschool, even a vacation to Hawaii 2 years ago, when he'd told me he was at a tech summit in Vegas. I cross-checked dates with our calendar. Every conference, every late night, half of them lined up with Mia's emails. He'd been splitting his life in 2, and I'd been too busy ironing his shirts to notice. I slammed the laptop shut, chest heaving. I wanted to smash it, to storm his office and throw it in his face. But I stopped myself. Confronting him now would just tip him off, let him spin more lies, lock down his accounts, cover his tracks. No. I'd play his game better. I grabbed my phone and texted Grace Sullivan, a lawyer friend from college I hadn't seen in years. "Need your help. Discreetly," I wrote. Then I emailed Ezra Cole, a PI I'd found online, attaching a blurry photo of Mia from the laptop. "Find out who she is. Everything." Lucas came home that night, loosening his tie as he stepped through the door. "Hey, babe," he said, dropping his keys on the counter. "Smells good. What's cooking?" "Your favorite," I replied, stirring a pot of beef stew, my voice smooth as silk. "Long day?" "Brutal," he sighed, slumping into a chair. "Clients driving me nuts." I nodded, setting a bowl in front of him, watching him dig in like nothing was wrong. He had no idea I'd cracked his world open. No idea I was already planning to burn it down. That night, I lay beside him, his snores filling the dark. Grayson's face flashed in my mind. Those hazel eyes, that grin. Lucas's son, not mine. 6 years of betrayal funded by our money, my sacrifices. I wouldn't cry, I wouldn't scream. I'd wait, gather every shred of proof, and when the time was right, I'd take everything he thought was his. He'd built a double life, I'd build a double game. Lucas strolled in from his latest trip the next evening, a duffel bag slung over his shoulder, his grin as easy as ever. "Missed you," he said, pulling me into a hug. I let him, my arms wrapping around him like they always did, while inside I felt nothing but ice. "Missed you too," I lied, pressing my cheek to his chest so he wouldn't see my eyes. I'd spent the day poring over his emails, tracing his lies, but now I was back in character, Chloe, the perfect wife. I handed him a whiskey neat, his favorite, and watched him sink into the couch with a contented sigh. "Rough one?" I asked, perching on the armrest. "Yeah," he said, swirling the glass. "Non-stop meetings. You know how it is." I nodded, smiling, thinking, I know more than you'll ever guess. Dinner was seamless. I served roasted chicken with garlic mashed potatoes, chatting about the weather, the neighbor's new dog, anything to keep him at ease. "You're the best, Chloe," he said, squeezing my hand across the table. I squeezed back, my pulse steady, and thought of Grayson's hazel eyes staring out from that photo. He had no clue I was onto him, no clue I'd already taken my first step. That morning, I'd met Grace Sullivan at a diner across town, far from Madison Park, where no one knew us. She slid into the booth, her sharp gray suit matching her sharper eyes. "Spill it," she said, sipping black coffee. I laid it out. The key, the safe, Mia, Grayson, the money. Her jaw tightened with every word. "He's been siphoning funds for years," I finished, sliding my phone across the table with the photos I'd snapped. She scrolled, then looked up. "This isn't just infidelity, Chloe. It's a financial gut punch. How much are we talking?" "Millions," I said. "I found $3.8 million in transfers so far. Horizon Ventures, offshore accounts, property." She whistled low. "He's planning an exit, probably when the kid hits school age. You've got a window, 6 months, maybe less." I'd also hired Ezra Cole, the PI. His first report landed in my inbox that afternoon. Mia Larson, 29, living in Tacoma with Grayson, no job listed. Lucas visited twice a month, sometimes more. Ezra promised bank records by week's end. I stared at the email, my coffee growing cold, and made my choice. I wouldn't confront Lucas, not yet. I'd wear the mask, play the part, and build my case. Grace agreed. "We need hard proof," she said. "Every dollar, every lie. Then we hit him where it hurts." So there I was, clearing the table while Lucas flipped through channels, oblivious. "Any plans this week?" I asked, casual as ever. "Portland Wednesday," he said. "Back Friday." I nodded, knowing Portland meant Tacoma, knowing Friday meant Mia. "I'll pack your blue suit," I said, folding a napkin. "You always look good in it." He grinned. "What would I do without you?" "Survive, maybe," I thought, turning away to hide the flicker in my expression. Later, I ironed his shirts, scheduled his dry cleaning, and planned a dinner for when he returned. All the little rituals he expected. Inside, I was a machine, cataloging his every move. He left for Portland 2 days later, kissing my forehead as he grabbed his bag. "You're a rock, Chloe," he said. I smiled, thinking, you have no idea what I'm capable of. The second his car pulled out, I called Grace. "He's gone. What's next?" "Patience," she said. "Ezra's digging. I'm drafting options. Keep him comfortable. He'll slip up." That night, alone in our too-big house, I sat on the deck, the lake glittering under the moon. Loneliness clawed at me, but I pushed it down. I'd given Lucas everything. My youth, my dreams, my trust. He'd taken it and built a second life, leaving me to hold up the illusion of ours. Grace's words echoed. 6 months. I had time to unravel him, thread by thread. I sipped my wine, the glass cold against my lips, and pictured Mia's apartment, Grayson's toys, Lucas's double smile. The mask was heavy, but I'd wear it. For now, it was my weapon, and his downfall. Lucas was still in Portland when Grace called me back, her voice clipped and urgent. "Meet me now," she said. "Ezra's got something big." I drove to her office downtown, the Seattle skyline blurring past as my pulse raced. She was waiting in a conference room, papers strewn across the table, Ezra beside her, lean, quiet, eyes like a hawk's. "Sit," Grace said, sliding a folder my way. "You're not going to believe this." And I opened it. Bank statements, property deeds, a photo of Lucas signing something with a notary. "He's moved $3.8 million. Ezra said, tapping a line. But there's more. Another $1.2 million in a Cayman account, plus a cabin in Whidbey Island titled to Horizon Ventures. He's hiding it all from you. I stared at the numbers, the proof of his betrayal in black and white. There's something else, Ezra added, sliding over a grainy shot of Lucas's car crumpled against a guardrail. Staged accident last year. Claimed $50,000 from insurance. Wired straight to Mia. My jaw tightened. He'd faked a crash to funnel cash? Grace leaned forward. He's got a power of attorney you signed back in '09 for business stuff. Ever revoke it? I shook my head, dazed. Good, she said, a glint in her eye. We're using it. We transfer everything back, into your name, solo. It's aggressive but legal if we document it right. I drove home, head spinning. That night, I pored over the files again. The lake outside dark and still. Grace's plan was wild, turn his own weapon against him. I logged into our joint accounts, hands trembling as I tested the waters. His passwords were predictable, our anniversary, my birthday. I started small, a $10,000 stock portfolio, shifted to a new account in my name. The confirmation pinged my inbox and I froze, half expecting him to call. Nothing. I moved bigger. $200,000 in bonds, then a chunk of our savings. Every click felt like stealing my life back. Lucas returned Friday, whistling as he dropped his keys. "Hey, babe," he said, pecking my cheek. "Portland was a grind." I smiled, stirring risotto on the stove. "Glad you're home," I said, handing him a beer. He flopped onto the couch, oblivious, while I thought of the $1.5 million I'd redirected that morning. Grace had a team now, a forensic accountant, a tech guy to cover my tracks. We hit his investments next. Tech stocks, a startup fund, even the Whidbey cabin, refinanced under my name. I narrated my days to myself, a silent script. I packed his lunch, kissed him goodbye, and sold his secrets out from under him. Saturday, he mentioned a work event next week. Grayson's birthday, I'd bet. I nodded, folding laundry, while Grace texted updates. $2.1 million secured. Keep going. I liquidated a partnership he'd hidden, rerouting the cash. The thrill was electric. Every transfer a brick in the wall I was building around him. He'd come home each night, praising my cooking, my patience, never noticing the accounts draining like sand through his fingers. "You're glowing lately," he said once, brushing my hair back. I smiled, adjusting his collar. "Just taking care of myself," I replied, savoring the irony. Ezra dug deeper, finding emails about Grayson's party, a big one with Mia's family. Lucas was planning a speech, playing proud dad. I pictured him there, smug, while I sat here, unraveling his empire. Grace called Sunday. "We've got 70% of it," she said. "Property, cash, stocks, mostly yours now. He'll notice soon if we push harder." "Then we push," I said, voice steel. I moved the last $1.5 million Monday, heart hammering as the transfer cleared. I poured myself a glass of his favorite scotch, Macallan, $200 a bottle, and toasted to his ignorance, the amber liquid catching the light. That night, Lucas came home late, tie loose, eyes tired. "Rough day?" I asked, setting out steak and asparagus. "Yeah," he muttered, rubbing his temples. "Some glitch with the accounts. It's on it." I nodded, hiding my smirk. He had no idea the glitch was me and my team, stripping him bare while he planned his little party. I clinked my glass against his, the sound sharp in the quiet. "To us," I said, watching him drink. To me, I thought. To the counterstrike he'd never see coming. Lucas was buzzing about his work event all week, dropping hints about a big announcement. "Gotta impress some investors," he said over breakfast, buttering his toast. I nodded, pouring his coffee, knowing it was Grayson's birthday bash, a circus of balloons and lies. I'd seen the email. Mia begging for extra cash, Lucas promising a special surprise. I smiled, stirring cream into my mug. "Sounds important," I said. "Need anything?" Just keep being you, he replied, winking. I held his gaze, steady as stone, thinking of the $4.5 million I'd already claimed. Grace and I had a plan, a setup to push him off balance. He's cocky, she'd said during our last call. Let's use it. Ezra had dug up dirt. Mia was blackmailing Lucas, threatening to spill their secret to his board unless he paid her $100,000. I'd leaked that email to a board member, anonymous, untraceable, planting a bomb he wouldn't see until it blew. But first, I'd make him sweat. I called his assistant, feigning panic. There's a glitch at the office, servers down, clients freaking out. Can Lucas host an emergency gala instead? She bought it, rescheduling his event for Friday at a swanky downtown hotel. I spent Thursday prepping, casual as ever. Big night tomorrow, I told Lucas, ironing his best shirt. Navy, crisp, the one he wore to charm people. Yeah, he said, distracted, scrolling his phone. Gotta rally the troops. I smiled, knowing Mia would be there, invited as his new assistant, a last-minute addition I'd suggested through his team. Grace texted, "Final transfer cleared, $1.5 million from his startup fund. You're at $6 million total." I replied, "Perfect. Let's light the fuse." Friday night, the gala sparkled. Crystal chandeliers, clinking glasses, Seattle's tech elite milling around. I wore a black dress, sleek and sharp, hair swept up like a crown. Lucas stood by the bar, schmoozing, oblivious to the trap. Then Mia walked in. Red dress, nervous smile, clutching a clutch I knew held my money. I glided over, wine in hand. "You must be the new assistant," I said, voice honey-sweet. "Lucas talks about you all the time." Her eyes widened, but she recovered fast. "Oh, yes, Mia. Nice to meet you." I grinned, leaning in. "Love your necklace, emerald, right? Matches your eyes." She touched it, flustered. $5,000, wired from our account last month. Lucas spotted us, his face draining to ash. "Chloe," he said, hurrying over. "Didn't know you'd mingle so soon." "Why not?" I replied, sipping my wine. "Mia's part of the team, right?" He forced a laugh, steering her away, but I saw the sweat beading on his neck. I chatted with board members next, dropping hints about accounting hiccups I'd overheard. They frowned, glancing at Lucas, who was now gulping scotch like water. Mia laughed at my small talk, clueless, while I savored the chaos I'd spun. Behind the scenes, I'd moved the last $1.5 million, his emergency fund, now mine, while he toasted the crowd. Grace confirmed it mid-gala. "Done. He's got scraps left." I watched him take the stage, voice booming about new horizons, his eyes darting to Mia. I leaned against a pillar, glass cool against my palm, picturing Grayson's party he'd missed, Mia's fury, his excuses unraveling. The board member I'd tipped off cornered him after, voice low, face grim. Lucas stammered, loosening his tie, as whispers spread through the room. I slipped out to the balcony, the city glittering below. Lucas thought he'd play proud dad tomorrow, thought he'd keep his empire intact. But I'd flipped the board, his blackmail ticking like a clock, his money gone, his mask slipping. "Chloe!" he called, spotting me as he stormed over. "What's with all the questions tonight?" I turned, calm as the lake at dawn. "Just making conversation," I said, smiling. "You look tense. Everything okay?" He stared, jaw tight, then muttered, "Fine. Just tired." He walked off, shoulders slumped, while I sipped my wine, the night air sharp against my skin. The setup was complete. Tomorrow I'd drop the hammer. The gala left Lucas rattled, but he hid it well, cracking jokes over breakfast Saturday, pretending the world wasn't shifting under him. "Last night was a hit," he said, spearing a pancake. I smiled, flipping another onto his plate. "You were the star," I replied, pouring syrup, my hands steady as ever. Inside, I was coiled tight, ready to strike. Grace had texted at dawn. "Papers filed, evidence locked. Pick your moment." I'd chosen tonight. His weekend plans canceled after missing Grayson's party leaving him home, cornered, mine to dismantle. All day I played the part. I vacuumed the living room, humming, while he paced, muttering about it issues. "Need help?" I asked, fluffing a cushion. "Nah," he said, waving me off. "Just numbers not adding up." I nodded, hiding the thrill. Those numbers were mine now, every last cent. By evening, I set the stage. Cedar-planked salmon, roasted potatoes, a bottle of Pinot Noir he loved. I wore a teal dress he'd once called stunning, hair loose, lips painted red. He walked in at 6:30, tie undone, and froze. "What's all this?" he asked, eyeing the table, candles flickering, china gleaming. "Just felt like celebrating," I said, pouring his wine. "To us." Dinner was a dance. He rambled about the gala, the board's weird vibes, while I nodded, asking just enough to keep him talking. "You handled it like a pro," I said, slicing my salmon, watching him relax into the praise. He reached for my hand after dessert. Chocolate mousse, his weakness. "You're too good to me, Chloe," he said, voice soft. I squeezed back, savoring the lie one last time. "Lucas," I said, pulling away, "I've got something for you." I stood, retrieving the leather binder from the counter, its weight heavy with truth. I opened it slow, deliberate, and slid a photo across the table. Him, Mia, Grayson at a Tacoma park, cake smeared on the boy's face. His glass stopped midair, eyes locking on the image. "What?" he started, voice low. I didn't let him finish, stacking more, him entering Mia's apartment, him tossing a ball with Grayson, him kissing her at a diner during a Portland trip. 6 years, I said, calm as death. A son named Grayson, a life you hid with our money. $6 million, Lucas, siphoned while I cooked your meals. His face cycled, shock, denial, fury, but I kept going, dropping bank records next. Horizon Ventures, offshore accounts, that fake crash for insurance cash. I found it all. He slammed his glass down, wine sloshing red across the white cloth. "You spied on me?" he barked, chair scraping back. "You dug through my life?" I arched a brow, unflinching. 20 years of marriage gave me that right. Building your company with my sweat gave me that right. You stealing millions while smiling at me gave me that right. I pulled out the final blow, a spreadsheet, color-coded, every transfer I'd reversed, every asset now mine. "Surprise," I said, voice cutting. "I own it all now. House, stocks, cabin, company shares. You've got nothing left to play with." His composure shattered, face purpling as he snatched the papers, flipping through them. "This is theft!" he roared, fist pounding the table, plates rattling. "I'll sue you! I'll bury you!" I leaned in, close enough to smell his cologne. "Try it," I said. "My lawyers have your blackmail emails from Mia, your board's already sniffing around, and every move I made's documented, legal, airtight. 6 years, a son, and millions you thought I'd never find. You're done, Lucas." He lunged up, pacing, hands clawing his hair. "How long?" he spat. 3 months, I said. "Since the key. Since I stopped being your fool." He stopped, staring at me like I was a stranger. "You'll pay for this," he hissed, voice venom. I stood, gathering the binder. "I already have. For 20 years. The doorbell rang, sharp in the silence. "That's Ezra," I said, heading for it. "My PI. He's staying tonight. Precaution, since you're not exactly stable right now." I opened the door, Ezra stepping in, silent and steady. Lucas glared, fists clenched, then stormed upstairs. I watched him go, the weight lifting off me. The reveal was over. The wreckage was his to face.